And that's a good attitude and a state of being to be in, so that you accept whatever happens, whatever manifests, as being necessary for being there. And again, takes us back to the fourth point in the formula. Always stay in a positive state and give a positive definition, even if it's something that you objectively don't prefer, to whatever manifests, because you know it's got to be there for a reason that could serve you. And if you stay in the positive state, you will start defining things that way, just as that question has framed. Oh, well, even though this is not what I expected, even though this may even be something I don't objectively prefer, it's got to be here for a reason. So maybe the fact that this manifested now is preparing me for other things. But again, don't have any insistence on the idea that this must prepare you for the thing you thought you wanted to manifest. It will, however, if used this way, prepare you for whatever does need to manifest next, which might be more representative of what you originally thought, but it still might be different than you thought. So just stay in that state of acceptance and neutrality and positive ideas about why that manifested, so that in that neutral space you can allow whatever really does need to come in and fulfill what you actually need.
So like the person here that struggles on a day-to-day basis to be consistent in following the formula, and sometimes they don't feel like doing things they have to do, that, you know, day-to-day things that
all right, again, look at the wording. If you have to struggle to follow the formula, you're not following the formula. It's as simple as that, because there's no struggle in following the formula. If you understand, here's the key, if you understand that that's actually a description of how reality works. It's actually a description of how you manifest things. Therefore, if you're struggling, you're actually giving yourself an indication that you have a belief system that is preventing you from actually following the formula. You have a belief that's actually preventing you from understanding what the formula is saying to you, of what it actually is. So if the struggle is there to follow it, that's the perfect opportunity to find out in your own self-investigation what you would have to believe is true about yourself in order to experience struggle in following the formula, in order to have a lack of understanding of what the formula is. So if the struggle is there, that's your first clue. There's a belief there that doesn't serve you. Take the time to stop and investigate what it is, because once you discover what it is and let it go, it's not going to be a struggle to follow the formula anymore, because you've let go of the reason why you're struggling.
It kind of reminds me of the idea of if you have a baby, you know, and taking care of that child may be very difficult sometimes, and you're tired, and all of the things that may come up that don't make it feel exciting. But if you take a step back and you just recognize how much you cherish having the child, then that will shift your energy in relation to the tasks that you have to perform that are part of having that child.
And part of your joy and excitement, because you'll figure out how to do them differently that is in alignment with your excitement. That's what we're saying. There is no inherently difficult situation. Only beliefs make it seem difficult, because you're not necessarily doing it in the way that is representative of your joy. But you can't see the way to do it in the way that's representative of your joy if you're not already in joy. Because again, you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first. So you have to, again, understand how this works, and you have to understand that if you simply go into the vibration of joy first, different ideas of the way to do things, including raising children, will come to you that you couldn't perceive when you weren't in a vibration of joy. And when those new ideas come to you because you're already in a vibration of joy, you will see that those new ideas, those new inspirations, those new imaginings about different ways to do things, different ways to relate to this idea of raising a child, will start to give you other opportunities, other ways of expressing that relationship, and you will find that they will all start to dovetail with your joy.
Yeah, it seems like the idea is if you find yourself unwilling or uninterested in doing certain tasks that are actually associated with your excitement, then that's time to redefine and look for new ways to do that, or possibly even delegate it, because sometimes
that can be one way. It can be one way if that's what naturally comes out of your investigation. It can be one choice. But the idea, again, is whatever those choices are, they'll present themselves to you in a way that actually does align with your excitement.
And that's the beauty of synchronicity, because it keeps
Yes.
bringing you more things to work with.
Yes, and it keeps taking away things that you don't need to work with right now.
So what about the idea of like self-sabotage? Like some individuals find that they try to do things in a certain direction, but then their own...
All right, well, again, we would assume by now that this would be relatively apparent as to what the answer is. Self-sabotage obviously involves belief systems about the self that dive into concepts like I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not able, I don't belong, etc., 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 and therefore require some deep self-investigation as to why you would attempt to sabotage yourself from your own true self, why you would attempt to be something you're not. So the idea, again, is you have to look at those fundamental fear-based beliefs of lack of self-worth in order to transform that physical behavior, those choices of self-sabotage.
So that idea of like it's self-sabotage, but it's happening at a subconscious level, you know.
That's why you have to investigate and bring the belief into the conscious light. Again, if it remains in your unconscious, you have nothing to work with. That's why the investigation about what you believe to be true about yourself is so crucial. And thus paying attention to what the fear-based belief is saying so you can hear what it's really saying and realize how much of what it's saying negatively about you is nonsense. You have to do the investigation. You have to make the unconscious belief conscious. Now, it's going to do everything in its power to prevent you from doing so, because that's one of the ways that the negative belief perpetuates itself, is by making it seem as if you have no ability to find it. And it may use emotions to prevent you from doing so. I'm too depressed to investigate myself. I'm too tired to investigate myself. This won't actually amount to anything to investigate myself. I am a victim and always a victim, and therefore there's no point in investigating what these beliefs are. All of these things come from the negative belief. You have to see through that smoke and mirrors. You have to be able to understand that it's not as difficult as the negative belief is making it appear, that that's just an illusion. You have to know how these things work. That's why we explain the mechanisms of these things to you all, so you can realize it can be much easier than you think, because once you understand how this works, and once you understand how beliefs perpetuate themselves, you will understand why they're saying what they're saying to you, and you will also understand the illusion in it, that it's not necessarily a fact, it's just a perspective coming from a negative belief that's doing nothing more than attempting to continue to perpetuate itself, which is what all beliefs are designed to do in order for you to be able to have a physical experience. Because if the belief systems couldn't perpetuate themselves in one way, shape, or form, there would be no possibility of having a physical reality experience, because it doesn't really exist unto itself. It only exists as a projection of your consciousness. The experience of it is real, but the physical reality itself is nothing more than a cardboard facade.
That's very helpful.
All right.
This individual says, I've had many experiences where I moved pencils like an instant manifestation in a way that didn't follow the laws of physics.
Well, it does follow the laws of physics, just not physics that you're familiar with yet.
And there was no intention of doing anything of the sort. It just like happened. So
yes, then for that individual, they have given themselves an opportunity through that experience of telekinesis to understand that physical reality is just a projection. The idea then is that whatever state they were in at that moment, every time they think about how that felt at that moment when that happened, puts them right back into that centered state of their relationship to the idea of physical reality as nothing more than a projection, which could, if used that way, if understood that way, for that purpose and that reason, put them in a state where they can allow themselves to, shall we say, shape their physical reality more effortlessly by simply knowing that they can always go back in that state, and that they are already back in that state just by remembering what it felt like to be in that state when they moved the pencil.
And
now, One moment. One moment. This is also an opportunity for them. That's just the way this individual chooses to do it, the way they choose to experience this synchronous idea of being in a certain state of being that can allow them to move forward in physical reality in a more effortless way, almost by, again, giving a perfect example of the surrendering of needing to be in control. So that as soon as you actually go into that surrendered state, feeling like you're not doing anything, that is actually the state of most control, when you don't necessarily feel like you're doing anything. That's the path of least resistance. That's what it feels like you're not doing anything because you're not really expending an effort. You're actually in the center of yourself in perfect balance at that moment. And when you happen to take yourself into that state, it shows you what's possible in physical reality. And it shows you that it is possible because physical reality isn't real. It's just a projection of the state of being of your consciousness.
That's amazing unto itself.
All right, if you say so.
Because, well, I mean, most of us wake up into a reality here where we have no idea that that's the way it's working initially.
Yes, but again, please allow me to just suggest a subtle correction.
Okay.
You don't wake up into that reality. That reality wakes up in you.
Oh. Even when there you are, a little baby, just being born into the world.
Even then. Because you are not just a little baby. In fact, as a little baby, and for quite a few years, you are still very loosely connected to the idea that physical reality is real. You kind of go back and forth into the spirit, into the physical dream, into the spirit, into the physical dream. And the idea is that you're absorbing what you need to absorb to play out the theme that you chose to play out in this physical experience. But remember that babies are not just babies. They are still extremely powerful spirit beings, testing the waters, navigating themselves into whatever way, shape, or form the situation needs to be to allow them to play out and experience the theme they chose to experience by absorbing whatever belief systems they need to absorb in order to transform them in the future in the way they need to become more of themselves from a different point of view.
Pretty amazing.
All right. Again, if you say so.
If if the heart has this direct connection to the higher mind, why do we experience heartbreak?
Well, again, because of the belief systems within the idea of the physical mind. Because again, remember, while it may experience the direct energy of the higher mind, the heart still has to take its cue from what the belief systems in the physical mind have to say about it. And therefore, heartbreak is another bounce. So higher mind to heart, through the filters of the physical mind's belief systems, back to the heart. That's where the heartbreak can occur, because then the original vibration is filtered through the belief systems that may be negative belief systems that then the heart will interpret as the idea of sadness or heartbreak or loss.
Okay. And where we'll be going through it at this point where we are?
Well, you have now made a significant shift in energy in a variety of ways. So this will, to some degree, accelerate the tunnel, the passage that we have termed the eye of the needle. So you can take advantage now of a more accelerated momentum of energy in a positive direction. But as we have already said, this will continue until about 2023. Now again, as we've also said, this doesn't mean that you have to necessarily experience negative things until that time. But that is simply where, at this moment, the end of the tunnel, so to speak, is focused. However, because of the shift in energy, the year 2023 becomes more significant in a variety of ways, particularly with regard to the idea of extending the beginning of the window of open contact backwards from 2025 to 2023. So the beginning of the window of open contact and the ending of the tunnel, the passage of the eye of the needle, coincide now in your year of 2023. Again, this doesn't mean that spaceships will land everywhere in 2023. It will be, however, the beginning of more opportunity to experience things that have to do with the establishment of more energy and framework for the opportunity, for the higher probability of open contact. And there may be an event in 2023 itself that may herald how much stronger the opportunities for open contact are. So in 2023, there can be new information coming in from your space probes, new information from your scientists about the probability of life off the Earth, and even an increase in the probability of there being more large-scale UFO sightings in the year 2023. So look to that year as you emerge from the tunnel of the eye of the needle, as also emerging at that time into the beginning of the window for open contact and the increase in probability for awareness of what is going on, not only globally on your world, but also to begin to really start incorporating in your reality the ideas of life elsewhere in the universe. Now, energetically also, with regard to the shifts that are being made now, and in particular in the areas in your country that you are calling Arizona, that you are calling Georgia, you may notice the idea of a reflective reverberation or frequency that has happened in the sense of the shifting of vibrational energies in those two states in the direction that you have now chosen collectively. Because the idea is that the vortex in Sedona is mirrored by a vortex over Atlanta. And in the idea of the balancing of the energy that we have been assisting all of you with by pumping a more balanced energy into the vortex in Sedona and it being mirrored by the vortex in Atlanta, you have witnessed physiologically two things. Number one, the shifting of energy in those states to a great degree, going in the direction of the choice that you have made politically. And also, this happened by the occurrence of more individuals coming into the cities in those two states that are representative of a different demographic. You could say, in some sense, that Atlanta now exhibits far more of the energy of California, specifically more of the energy of Los Angeles, and specifically more the energy of Hollywood, because of the demographic shift of many people relocating in the Atlanta area that are involved in the same kinds of activities that you find in Hollywood in terms of film and television creation. So the idea is that the shift of the West Coast energy is now more shifting to the East Coast and the southern areas because of the connection between the two vortices, also between Sedona, which is also receiving, and Phoenix, which is also receiving more of the demographic of the West Coast as people relocate to those areas that bring that kind of energy with them, and seeing it mirrored by the Atlanta vortex. So many things have shifted subtly over the last few years that are now revealing themselves vibrationally in the kind of energy output and the kind of choices being made by the people having relocated to those particular vortices, and the energy of the balance that we are assisting you with coming through those vortices in a way that is drawing more people to those areas to balance out the demographic energy and vibrational reality of what is happening in your country. That is what we will say for now about that subject.
Okay, and I suppose tagging on to that is the election and what happened today with Biden being elected. How has that impacted the window of contact?
I have already answered that.
So that's essentially part and parcel of the change in leadership.
It is a change in the choices being made that is reflected by the idea of the leadership.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, because the leadership is calling for unity. The leadership is calling for the idea of connectivity and community at this point, which will enhance and increase the probabilities for open contact because it requires the idea of community, connectivity, and those kinds of frequencies and states of being in order to increase the probability of open contact with other communities among the stars.
I see.
And this is why it has come down to the idea of stretching backwards to the year of 2023 as the new beginning of the window of open contact rather than 2025.
Okay. Can you comment on the intense polarization that's been occurring in relation to the coronavirus and the election?
Well, it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected with, again, the energy of fear or the energy that is positive. So all of these things in your society are going to be reflective of the polarization that you have all created with regard to the revelation, shall we say, or the revealing of the different kind of energies that have lain within many people on your planet for quite some time. But this brings out into public relief, into very broad, strong relief, the idea of the energies that have been simmering under the surface for a long time and are now being exposed, so that, again, bringing everything out on the table to see exactly what energy states exist within your different societies and cultures, you can deal with it and begin to more clearly make the choices that you prefer for what kind of a reality you prefer to experience. As we've said before, this is simply part and parcel of an extension of bringing everything out on the table, positive and negative, so that by seeing more clearly the negative that exists, you can then, by contrast and comparison, make it easier for you to decide what kind of a reality in a positive sense that you prefer. So it's all interlaced, it's all interconnected.
So would you say that part of our contact timeline is very dependent on us reaching out across the aisle in a sense?
Absolutely.
Coming together and working in a state of perhaps more towards compromise?
In a sense, yes. More a state of balance, and also more the opportunity through conversation of various kinds to really explore why people make the choices they make. Instead of simply reacting to the choices on the surface, it's about really getting together and exploring why those choices are made. Because when you get down in conversation to the real, as you say, nitty-gritty of why people make the choices that they do, what it is they may be afraid will happen, what it is they are seeking to feel within themselves in terms of self-empowerment, when you can allow the conversations between differences in perspective to really get down to the common reasons why people make the positive or negative choices that they make, then you really form a basis for real understanding, real communication, and real self-realization and recognition within each and every individual about why it is that they do go in the direction that they go, why it is they are making the choices that they're making, because you get down to the basic concepts of what it is that people really desire to feel, to experience, which is usually nothing more than the idea of being supported, feeling self-empowered, being validated for who they are, and letting go of all the surface reflections or surface symbols of that they think represent gaining those things, when in many cases it's not really those surface things that they're after, but more fundamental states of being that represent the idea of self-validation, feeling like they belong, feeling self-empowered, in a nutshell, feeling loved and supported. So when you can really connect in that way, the conversations won't be so superficial about the symbols that people choose to represent their attempt to feel those things, but you'll really get down to the real reasons that they create those symbols, create those outer surface appearances, because they're seeking something deeper. They're seeking a deeper connection, a deeper sense of validation, a deeper sense of being supported, and a much deeper sense of love.
Well, I have faith in us as humans that we will bridge this gap and bring ourselves into a better state of existence.
It's all up to all of you. It's always been. It's completely in your hands and completely in your control. You just have to see things in a more holistic and interconnected way, as is now being discussed.
Now, this was an interesting question. It says, is the pandemic a means from higher beings to reduce human population like the deluge?
No. It is a means. It is a means of paying more attention to the messages coming from your own higher minds to give you more ability and more clarity to make the choices that will move you in a more positive rather than a negative direction of self-elimination.
So if you think that there's nothing outside that can affect us, is that true?
There is no outside for anything to come from. There is only within. Everything that you experience occurs within your consciousness. You understand that?
Okay.
There is nothing outside. There is no outside for anything to be in. There is nothing outside your consciousness.
Everything is in my consciousness.
Everything.
Within. Oh.
Everything.
Okay.
The only way you can have an experience of any kind is if you create that experience within your consciousness.
Like, for example,
Yes.
nature.
Nature.
Yeah, when I'm in nature, I
Yes.
feel good.
Yes.
Why is that?
Did she really ask that question? All right. Why is that?
Well, if nothing...
When I say there is nothing outside, I don't mean in the colloquial sense that there's nothing outside the building. Nature, however, to answer your question more directly, is by its very definition more in tune with the frequency of your natural self.
Right.
Therefore, you feel good because you are using nature as a permission slip to allow yourself to be more in touch with your natural vibration. And that always feels really good.
What I think, okay, I got it, but then how about anything negative outside? When I feel bad, something happens outside.
When you feel bad, it's because you believe that your relationship to that circumstance is defined in a negative way. Redefine your relationship to the circumstance, and you will not feel bad. I am not saying to ignore the feeling. You must acknowledge the feeling. All right, I feel bad. Why? What would I have to believe is true about my relationship to this situation in order for me to have this feeling? Because remember, all emotions, without exception, all emotions, all feelings only exist because there is a belief that exists first. You cannot have a feeling without having a definition or a belief first. So if you have a bad feeling, all right, acknowledge it. All right, I've got a bad feeling. So what? Now, I ask myself, do I prefer this feeling? Well, no. I would prefer something else. I would prefer to feel joyful. All right. So let me ask myself, why did I have this bad feeling? What brought this about? Well, I know that feelings come from beliefs. Oh, all right. So, what kind of a belief, the question goes, would I have to have about my relationship to the situation in order for me to have a bad feeling about it? That's how you begin the process of self-investigation and finding out what the definition is. And in finding out what the definition is and identifying it, you can then find out why you had it And when you find out why you had it, you can let that go and change it for something else you would prefer as a belief. And when you change it for a belief you would prefer, then that belief will generate a feeling that you prefer, which will also generate thoughts that you prefer, which will also generate behavior that you prefer.
I tried that. I know you taught us that, but it's not that easy.
That's a belief.
Okay.
You see? So now the question is, why do I have a belief that says it's not that easy? You see, that's the next step. You can always take the question to the next level. If you find that you have tried it one way, as you say, and it doesn't seem to be working for you, look at the essence of what you're actually saying. What's the result? All right, the result that you're feeling is, this is difficult. It's not that easy. Very good. You've now arrived at another place where you have something to work with. So acknowledge it. All right, I acknowledge that I have a feeling it's difficult. I have a feeling it's not that easy. That must mean what? I have a belief that it's not easy. Why do I have that belief? And you can start the investigation again and keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that until you truly find the true fundamental foundational underlying belief that is generating all the other secondary level beliefs.
I think it's not a belief but an experience.
No. Your experience comes from your belief. I understand that you have experience in physical reality, and you can say, well, that happened to me, and so that's why I feel this way. But you see, you are simply putting, as you say, euphemistically, the cart before the horse. The way you've been taught to look at reality is making you think that that comes from the experience. But in fact, the experience first came from the belief. Now, once you have the experience may reinforce the belief, but it doesn't generate the belief. The belief generates the experience, which then by definition strengthens the belief. Because all beliefs must, by definition, contain an element, a component that is a self-generating, self-fulfilling aspect. If beliefs did not make it seem as if no other beliefs were possible, you wouldn't be able to have that particular experience. So when you have a belief that generates an experience, the experience will then always have the capacity to reinforce the belief and make it seem to be the only thing that's true. But that's not true. You have to get to a point where you know it's not true, no matter how it feels, so that when something happens, you can recognize that the experience is not causing the belief, it's just reinforcing the belief. And that therefore the experience can be used to put you in touch with the belief that generated the experience to begin with. You follow me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I kind of.
I think so.
Yeah.
Work with that.
Okay, I have a problem when my husband tells me to do that.
Why do you have a problem with it? And why are you defining it as a problem?
Well, because it comes from outside.
There is no outside. All the things you choose to feel, you choose to feel. Anyone could come up to you and say anything. You could still laugh, you know.
That's what he said. Someone slaps, even if someone slaps in my head, I still have to choose how I feel, how I feel.
But the point is, you're choosing, which means it's under your control. So if you are choosing to feel bad, you have to ask yourself, why would I choose that? And when you ask that kind of a question, it can put you in touch with the belief that makes you think that that's your only choice, when in fact you have many choices of how to feel and how to believe. So you have to find out why you're choosing what you're choosing. Up to you.
Okay, thank you.
I
appreciate it.
Greetings, Bashar. My question is, one night I had a dream where the apartment I live in was haunted. It was a pretty vivid dream. And in the morning, when I got up, I was doing my morning routine. And at one point, I thought about that dream. And when I did, the lights in my kitchen flickered. And they've never done that before, and they haven't done that since. Is there a connection? Thank you, and have a great day.
Someone in spirit is attempting to get your attention. So pay attention to it. Be positive in your vibration. And whatever positive energy or information needs to come through from spirit, you'll eventually make the connection more consciously and receive that information. So just know that something is attempting to get your attention, and stay in a positive state with that idea. You will receive what you need to receive eventually. Good day.
Good day to you, Bashar.
Good day. What would you like to discuss this day?
My first question, although I think I have been a fairly good person most of my life, there are a few things I regret doing, one of which caused some memory loss. The memories have started to return slowly over time, but they are fragmented and incomplete.
All right.
Is there a way to streamline my memory recovery and become whole again?
Well, have you learned to do something different from this experience?
Yes. I've mostly been relying on rosemary oil, sleeping
I
longer.
don't need to know the details. I don't need to know the details.
Okay.
I'm just asking you in general. Whatever it is you did that you say you now regret doing, have you learned from the experience and are now doing something differently that you believe is more in alignment with your true self? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then there is no need for regret anymore, is there? If you're learning from it?
I guess not.
The regret is weighing you down and holding you back. That's the way to streamline yourself. If you acknowledge that something has been done that you don't prefer yourself to do, and you have been willing to allow yourself to learn a lesson from it and change who you are and do things differently that's more in alignment with who you truly need to be, regret does not have a place in that formula. The regret served a purpose in simply getting you to recognize that it was not something you prefer to be. Once you recognize that, there is no more room for the regret. It has done its job. It served its purpose. So let it go. Yes?
Yes.
That will streamline you and move you forward. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
You are welcome. Anything else?
How can we see auras and the flow of spiritual energy around us?
By raising your vibration, which you are on the path of doing. It will happen naturally. Of course, you may attract yourself to some methodology, and if that permission slip works for you to increase your ability to stretch your senses to perceive those energetic things, then that's fine too. Trust synchronicity will bring you what you need. But the idea, again, is that as you allow yourself to become more and more of who you are and move forward, your vibration will increase, and a natural result of your vibration increasing will be that your senses will begin to see things that you heretofore couldn't. So it's just a natural part of your evolution.
What can we do to improve if we go into a meditative state, but we're not making any progress?
But depends on what you define as progress. What are you insisting must happen when you go into a meditative state? Insisting that something particular must happen is actually the opposite of being in a meditative state.
Well, if you're sitting in meditation, but you're only experiencing a dark void.
What's wrong with that? Dark voids are quite beautiful.
I was hoping to get a little bit more out of the experience.
Well, maybe that kind of experience is not designed for something you actually find workable. Or again, you're bringing too much insistence and expectation in what you think it's supposed to do. Maybe you have other ways of meditating, maybe not. But I just gave you the hint that if you explore the dark void itself, you may find there's more there than you think. Instead of insisting that something else should be happening other than the dark void. Maybe the dark void is exactly where all the information you seek lies. Think about the dark void in a different way. Define it in a different way, and maybe it will surprise you as to how much the dark void actually contains. But don't be insistent about it. That's exactly the opposite of the state of meditation.
Okay.
Remember, there are active meditations too. Are you acting on your highest excitement as often as you possibly can? Hesitation usually means no.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. No.
So why not?
I'm not.
Why not? What's holding you back from doing so?
Fear of the unknown, most likely.
Why do you fear the unknown? The only thing you'll ever discover in the unknown is more of yourself.
I'll take that under consideration, Bashar.
You may take it under consideration for as long or short as you wish.
What's the best way to consistently contact the angelic realm?
Do you have a way that you prefer to open up to the idea of the angelic realm? What does your imagination and creativity conjure for you when you think of making contact with the angelic realm?
Usually I try to raise my vibration so that I can get into the mind state of a higher being.
All right, but don't make it so difficult when you say try to raise your vibration. When you open up to the idea, the very thought, the very concept of connecting to the angelic realm, how does that idea feel to you?
Great. I mean, I feel good when I'm trying to do so.
All right. So understand, it's not about trying to do so. When you feel good by just simply conceptualizing doing that, you are raising your vibration. Because understand the trick. Remember when we said, if you have heard us say this, that you cannot conceive of what you're not the vibration of already?
Yes, I remember you saying that.
Therefore, even being able to conceive of the idea of connecting to the angelic realm means you're already in the proper state to do so. Otherwise, you would never be able to even conceive of doing something like that. That's the trick. Does that make it easier?
Yes, it does.
There you go.
Uh,
Again, don't have insistences or expectations on how that must actually respond to you. It may respond in a number of different ways, through synchronicity, a number of different ways. So don't have an insistence and say, "Whoa, it's not working because I'm not hearing an angel talk to me or blow a trumpet in my ear." Just make the connection, know that you're making the connection, know that they're receiving it, and know that the response will come in whatever way actually serves you best. And therefore, don't limit the way you are able to receive it by insisting that it must happen in the way your physical mind thinks it should. Just let it come in the way that actually works best. So do it, make the connection, know you've made the connection, know there will be a response, and then let it go and get on with your life. And it will come.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all about not trying too hard. It's just about doing it. It's just about knowing that you're doing it because you understand how physics works and knowing that you wouldn't be able to conceive of making a connection to the angelic realm if you weren't already in the vibration state to do so. Therefore, it's done. The minute you conceive of it, it's done. Then go on to the next thing that excites you and let synchronicity bring you whatever needs to bring you in perfect timing and in a perfect methodology. It will be recognized by you for what it is when it needs to be. Until that moment, just move on.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Will that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right.
There was an incident in the Barney and Betty Hill alien abduction case where an alien being put his hands over a book and was able to absorb the knowledge within it. Are we capable of the same thing?
Absolutely. Remember, information is available anywhere and everywhere. You just have to resonate at the same frequency as the information that you seek. And it's exactly the same idea that we just explained to you about the idea of making contact with the angelic realm. Just know that the very concept itself contains the vibration you need to be at. And then just let the information come when it needs to come. You don't always need every single piece of a book. You will get what you need.
Were the feats of King Solomon in the Bible real or just a fable?
Some of them are real, some of them are misinterpretations, some of them are for the idea of making a point.
Okay. And with your species, do you have a concept of marriage?
Not in the way that you do. Our entire society considers itself to be married to everyone else.
Oh, that's impressive.
If you say so. It's just who we are.
And as of right now, are you happy?
Always. I am never not happy.
And how do you maintain that level of happiness?
Why would I choose anything else? That's the answer. What reasons would I create for myself to choose anything but happiness?
Point made.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hi, Bashar. It's my understanding that I'm a precursor being. If this is true, it would also appear that I came here for the purpose of creating, inventing a communications tool. My question is this true? Was my major purpose to create this tool? And is this project considered a success? Thank you.
It may be one of your purposes. Now, you have a misunderstanding about the term precursor. Precursors are not from Earth. They are hybrid beings that may arrive from time to time on Earth and walk among you to see if you can actually perceive the difference between them and a typical human. You are not a precursor in that context. But you are part, like many people, of the evolution of humanity who may have come through to create certain things that can help accelerate that. The idea of communication devices is one way in which many people who are part of the evolutionary acceleration may assist in that acceleration and evolutionary path. But you are not technically a precursor.
It is Victoria, and it's wonderful to meet with you.
And you as well, Moon Pie.
I have a couple things that I'd like to talk to you about.
Yeah.
The first is I have found a place that I have landed, per se, so I have moved to.
Which is?
I am very close to Joshua Tree at this time.
All right.
Yes. And I'm starting to get to know the place a little bit better.
Joshua Tree will transform you into someone else, into another aspect of your being.
Right. I feel that. And it's funny because this is one of the, I never expected to land here. So it is different. But that's okay. And I'm still learning the land. And I was wondering if you had anything that you would recommend checking out in the park while I am here.
One moment. There is a type of desert mouse that making a connection to this animal in some way, shape, or form, whether it is indigenous to the area or not, but represents an environment similar to that area, would create the proper vibration to allow you to experience a type of connection that will draw you deeper into the earth and help you understand a connection to the natural world that will allow you to receive communications more strongly to your heart from Gaia, from Mother Earth, in a way that will transform your perspective on many things in the physical world with regard to the energies you can perceive from different people and different environments that will guide you to your true self. We are given to say this in this way specifically by higher guides and higher mind. End of transmission for that subject.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the higher guides and guardians. I appreciate that. And I will explore that.
All right.
Also, as you know, the Day of the Dead, Halloween, All Saints Day has passed, and
All Souls.
And All Souls, yes, thank you. And for this day, I did like a ceremonial altar, like for my ancestors. Yes. Very simple, but I was contemplating, honoring their memory and their life. And I was thinking about how like more have passed on to spirit now, and how I know we're all connected, but it shifts my perspective on life in certain ways and the future.
How so?
Well, I feel like seeing their lives and then reflecting like on my life, and I'm like, okay, as I'm passing and living life, what essence am I leaving upon the planet?
Yes.
And that's just, it's become more important and more like of a focal point to me.
Yes, this is one of the reasons why it was recommended to get in touch with that particular small desert mouse. It is the essence of humbleness.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. So that being said, I was wondering during this time period where the veils are thin, is obviously it's a time that we can connect with animal earth, or animal spirits that have passed on, families that has passed on, but is it also a time where we can connect to other galactic, say, races or dimensional time periods because the veil is thinner outside of just the human type of...
Absolutely. Now, again, these things are always available, but when you say the veil is thinner, it's simply the representation archetypally of the collective consciousness's willingness and ability to open up to other realities.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that.
The willingness to open up to other realities. The willingness to open up to other realities. Take that into your dreams and see what blossoms when you plant that seed.
I will. And it's funny because you mentioned dreams, and I haven't been remembering my dreams lately, and I feel the need to remember them more. So
when you get back to being your true self in your true heart and your true core vibration, you will.
Thank you, Bashar. I truly appreciate you and all of you.
Our deep appreciation for you as well. Good day, Moon Pie.
Good day.
Good day.
Greetings. Greetings, Bashar. Thank
Good day
you
to
for the
you.
opportunity to speak with you.
It is our passion and our pleasure. Thank you for the co-creation.
Thank you. My name is Callie, and I'm living in the Sacred Valley of Peru near Machu Picchu.
All right.
And yeah, there's lots of amazing energies here. And I don't know if you have any updates on what's going on in this area.
We do, but none to share.
None to share. Okay.
Except,
all right.
except, one of our kind has recently arrived in that area to monitor certain energies. You may connect to them if you wish. It is similar to the idea of our craft over Sedona. Another of our species has arrived over that area of Peru. For a variety of reasons we will not go into, but you may connect to their vibration if you wish.
Wow. Okay. I've done a lot of work in Machu Picchu at the Templo de Condor, the Condor Temple, and had a lot of visions there years ago. And it's actually what brought me to live in Peru after the once the pandemic started. And I'm wondering, is that Machu Picchu is so close by? We're in the last town before Machu Picchu, and the train leaves from here. So we're very much a portal. And I'm wondering, do you suggest that I do some more work in Machu Picchu, or that perhaps they're coming there?
As we said, you may connect to another member of our society in that area who has recently arrived.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. My next question, the 51% rule that you talked about recently. I've been called Pollyanna by many people because I tend to put a positive spin on things all the time and find the teachings and everything. And when you shared the 51% rule, I felt really validated and kind of fed my ego a bit. And I'm just wondering if you can give us any tips on how to stay in that place. Because sometimes I definitely slip.
Why would you leave it? When you slip, it's a choice to leave. What reasons do you give yourself in your belief system that should be your choice?
Well, because I've been told not to negate the negative. And it seems like you
don't negate the negative by knowing that it's there. You become more aware of its existence. The idea is that you simply make a choice to experience it in a positive way. I'm not saying that you call the negative a positive thing. You recognize it for what it is energetically. But you use it to your advantage by remaining in a positive state. That's very different than being naive.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, it kind of fed my ego quite a bit. The 51%, once I was validated in my Pollyanna-ness. So that's something that I need to work with as well. Feeling that I'm better than others when I do stay positive.
Yes, you are not better than others. You are simply making different choices that are more in alignment with who you truly are. But again, it's not out of naivete. If you understand how things work, you'll become even more aware of the negativity. It's just that you will have no reason to choose it.
Okay, very good. That's helpful.
Thinking of yourself as better than others is a choice of negativity.
Absolutely. It's an ego temptation every once in a while that I realize is not healthy. So
it's a negative ego.
Negative ego. Yeah.
It's not ego. Absolutely. Ego keeps you focused in physical reality in its natural state. There is nothing negative about the concept of the ego because it's doing a job, keeping you focused in physical reality, since physical reality isn't real. You need some sort of framework, like the ego, to allow you to stay focused in something that is a simple projection of your consciousness and knowing that it isn't really real. So the ego has a job, but it's not the negative ego. The negative ego is when you tell the ego that it's the sole controller and it's better than anything else and it determines everything. That's not its job. It's not designed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make it think that it
That's
is,
helpful.
if you make it think that it is, then you wind up with the negative ego.
Ah, okay. Wow, that's good to keep in mind. Thank you. The next question I have is about control. And you had mentioned recently that if we release control, then we would find that everything is in our control. And I've certainly heard this from many, many people. I'm wondering, can you suggest how to catch ourselves when we forget?
Well, do you not recognize when you have gone into the limited version, when you understand how things work, will you not know when you have gone into the limited version of the idea of control?
Absolutely. I know when I'm there, I just kind of,
Then
I
stay
sort
there
of
for your own reasons.
shock.
Well, that's all right. Again, it's not about being better than that. It's about accepting what is and learning from it. That's how you use it. Why am I here? Why am I experiencing this? Why am I choosing to experience this? Is there something for me to learn here by having chosen that? Do I have a belief system I'm still holding on to that I'm not aware of? What would that belief system be that would make it seem like a logical choice to come back to this place? If I understand how things work, what would be the reason that would be so overwhelming that I would choose to be here again? Examining yourself deeply that way will be able to use that particular state of being in a way that can benefit you if you learn a lesson from it. Learn what the belief systems are that would make it seem logical to keep choosing to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's kind of like a worthiness thing, questioning my ability to communicate when things are in a heated situation, for example.
Oh, all right. And why do you think yourself unworthy of proper communication in those situations? Why do you succumb to the lower vibration?
Because my mind goes blank. If I'm, if I'm in an energy that feels overwhelming, and
all right,
I kind of lose it.
Do you not understand that your mind going blank can actually be a benefit to you?
I'd like to work with that, definitely.
Well, if your mind goes blank, then you're not going to necessarily offer a negative reaction to something, are you?
No, unless you call it passive aggressive, that I say nothing.
Do you wish to define that way?
Definitely don't. Definitely don't. But I feel like in order to remedy the situation, the conversation.
What makes you think you're supposed to? What makes you think you're supposed to remedy it?
Well, I feel like I need to do my part in trying to.
How do you know that doing your part? How do you know that doing your part isn't to remain silent and let the other person recognize their issues that they're projecting on you?
Well said. Yes, I believe that.
All right. Yeah. Again, not because you're better than, but just because you're offering a blank slate for that person to bounce off of and get a reflection for themselves of the projections that they may be putting onto you of their own issues. You don't have to remedy anything. Again, you're trying to be in charge. You're trying to be in control. I have to rescue. I have to save. I have to fix. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when you relax into that state of it being okay to go blank, you will come out of it more likely than not with the perfect response that gives them the opportunity to face the issues that they are going through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Silence can be very helpful to kind of recalibrate things.
And if nothing else, after the silence, you can perhaps even make a suggestion to the other person. Is that what you really wished to say?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you really wished to say? I'm giving you an opportunity to rethink what you just said and decide if that's what you really wish to say. If it is, that's fine. But I'm giving you an opportunity to decide whether you would like to communicate something differently at this particular moment. And it is the blankness that would allow you to do that. allow you to come up with that kind of a response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Just dropping into presence and dropping into
Yes.
My higher self in that silence definitely opens the opportunity
Yes.
for
Because
right
you would
communication, for
know.
good communication.
Yes, because you would know that when people communicate harshly, it's usually not representative of what they actually wish to talk about. It's usually just something on the surface that's a cover for their fear of facing the issue at hand. And if you give them the chance, if you give them the opportunity to rethink it, many of them will.
Right. Wow. That's helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Pleasant
Thank you.
dreams.
I had a flash of doubt this week about my abilities as a writer.
Oh, all right.
And-
Flash of doubt.
Yes.
And of course, remember, what is doubt?
Is trusting and in
Yes, trusting in, a
Some-
100% trust in
what I don't want.
what a definition that doesn't work for you.
Right. A definition that doesn't work.
All
for me.
right.
And I realized that even though some of my material had been rejected or passed on by this company, that had
Yes.
no effect on who I was, and that I'm very proud of my work.
All right.
And it just meant to me that some other company was the one that it was meant to go with.
Perhaps.
Or different other ones.
Perhaps.
And I was curious. I know that that predictions are only of the moment, and
Yes.
that they are likely to change.
Yes.
And I had a psychic reading back in February, and I was
Yes.
wondering if you were able to give me an accuracy of the percent of that reading as it stands at this moment.
Is it still February?
No, I mean,
Then
obviously.
0.
Okay. Okay.
Every moment you create your reality anew. It is that understanding you really need to have in order to understand why the answer is 0.
Then, understanding that readings or predictions change moment to moment.
Yes.
Is there any way you can give me a reading of where I am at this moment?
You are 100% whatever you are deciding to be. What are you deciding to be? That's the question. What other reading can I give you other than your assessment of yourself in clear, honest self-communication? You tell me who you are right now. You don't have to literally do it. It is rhetorical to some degree, but that is the point. I cannot give you a reading of where you are, since you are infinity. Where can I say you are on a line that is infinite, except always where you are? Do you understand? This may seem cryptic, may seem poetic, may seem philosophical, but it is also quite literal. You are, in some senses, giving away the power by asking me to make the assessment for you in the same way that you gave yourself an opportunity to experience how you had given away your power in terms of reacting to what other people think of who and what you do and who and what you are. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, remember, it isn't even about the idea that it's meant to be in another company. It is about the idea of doing what you do because that's what you love to do. And allowing your reality to reflect it to you in whatever way, shape, or form is representative of the path of least resistance of simply allowing you to be who you are without the idea that it must do this or it must do that. You do what you do because that's what you love to do.
Well, I do it and I love it, but at the same time, I would like to be supported by it.
Yes. You will be supported by it when you do it only because you love it. If you do it because you love it, but because you also need to be supported by it, it cannot support you because you need it to. If you do it because you love it, because it's who you are, and follow your excitement at any given moment, then whatever it is your excitement leads you to will in some way, shape, or form support you. But you must let go of your idea of what support is supposed to mean. You must relax your conditions on what support is supposed to look like. Otherwise, you cannot receive support as it may actually come. You may not see support for what it is, because you think it has to look a certain way and wear a certain suit. And thus you cannot necessarily recognize real support when it happens. Sometimes, for example, in a sense that someone may not want to participate in something you have done can be a form of support. Because they are supporting you moving in the direction that is actually representative of who you actually are. Supporting what you have deemed yourself to be. What you have defined yourself to be. So in that sense, it is support. But if it is a certain type of support you're looking for, a certain expectation of support, then you will not allow yourself to recognize support is already with you all the time. Because the only support any of you actually need is the support to be yourself. Period. No matter how that may come. So, of course, yes, be persistent, persevere, but not in the sense of struggle. The idea, again, at any given moment is to simply make the assessment, am I doing what I really, really, really love to do? Not because of what you think it will get you. Not because of what you think it must do to support you. Simply, do I have any other choice? Is there anything else I would rather be doing? If the answer is no, then just keep doing whatever it is you find most exciting for its own sake. And let your reality guide you without expectation. Do not disappoint yourself from the driver's seat. Reappoint yourself and stay there, no matter what anyone else decides. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is this helping you?
It is, thanks.
Yes.
Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, is that little face on the wall in my bedroom an alien?
Define it and describe it.
It has, well, the face looks just like, I don't know the name of, I don't know if it's the grays or the hybrids, with the big eyes and the little nose.
In what way does this face appear to you? In what manner do you perceive this? What is the nature of the manifestation? Is what we are asking.
Well, like, it seems like something's watching me or just observing me.
Yes. When you say the face on my wall, you are talking about
in the bedroom.
A phenomenology that is not always there, or something that is always there?
Well, it's
part
always
of the
been,
wall or an energy perception?
It's a part of the wall.
Physiologically?
Yes.
Then in that sense, you can understand that as part of the wall, it cannot be what you would call an actual alien.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it may be that it is triggering in you memories of actual encounters and experiences.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Yes. Because I just noticed it was there just the other day, so I mean, I don't know.
That is simply an indication that your mind is now capable of, shall we say in your language, wrapping itself around more conscious awareness and remembrance of experiences that you are having, and therefore it is allowing itself to see in the patterns in your wall something that will remind you that you've had these encounters. Wow. You understand?
Yes. Okay. My second question has to do with the very first channeling experience that I sat in on. The next day, I got a really, really dizzy spell.
Yes, this is common. As individuals will allow themselves to open up new energy centers, allow more energy through themselves, sometimes it will literally have the experience of being disorienting. Because you are not used to handling that level of energy, it does literally disorient you momentarily until you get used to it and reconnect to your new orientation. This is a very common symptomology of new energy flow, of awakening to new levels of awareness and consciousness. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, it lasted 2 weeks, so that's why I was really
It is still a common symptom.
Yeah.
Sometimes in your world it takes time to get used to new levels of energy.
And then at times I felt like I was vibrating on like a pulsation type.
Yes, this is what we are saying. You are upgrading your energy frequency.
Wow.
You are allowing yourself to be operating on a higher level, a higher pitch, so to speak. And that can be disorienting to the way that you are used to perceiving your reality and yourself until you get used to it.
I see. I'm just trying to catch up with myself.
You're not trying, you are.
Okay.
But yes, in your reality, again, because you think
as a society in terms of polarity and dichotomy, then you create a difference, yes, between the idea of the old self and the new self, and that difference you create is what creates the disorientation for however long that lasts. You follow? So yes, euphemistically, yes, you are trying to catch up to yourself, but only because your society teaches you that you have two different selves and that one needs to catch up.
Okay.
This is just a projected idea, but because you think of it as a real reality, you experience the consequences of thinking of yourself in that way, as an old and a new self that needs to be caught up to.
Okay.
The more you think of yourself holistically, the more you are willing to change instantaneously, and trusting that all those things are a part of you, the less difference you will create within the idea of yourself, and the less often you will experience that kind of disorientation. You will simply then experience it as revelation, inspiration, instantaneous recognition that you've made a shift. But there will be no disorientation, there will only be elation. You follow?
Yes.
And?
That's great. And what?
Anything else?
Yes.
And?
Okay. Third question is, that last relationship that I had with my ex-boyfriend, was that remote viewing he was doing? Because he seemed to know everything that was going on in my life, whether he was physically present or not.
This is not so much exactly the idea of remote viewing, although there is an aspect of that there. Okay. Anytime any individuals are connected in vibration, anytime they are, as you would say in your language, on a similar wavelength, you understand? Mm-hmm. Then you will create the same understanding at the same time. You will have the same kind of thoughts at the same time. And that can act as a methodology for allowing one individual to know what another individual is experiencing at that moment, because you are operating on the same wavelength. It's simply called resonance identification. And in a sense, that is to some degree the secret to remote viewing, in that you have to resonantly identify to some degree with whatever it is you need to see in order to be able to see it, because what you're doing is creating your version of that image and that experience within your own energy by identifying with it strongly enough to match the frequency of that person, place, thing, location, or what have you.
I didn't feel like I was doing it with him, though.
So, that doesn't mean he can't do it with you. He can identify with you, even though you may not necessarily reciprocate. You understand?
Yeah.
It all has to do with intention and focus and an array of other ideas emotionally. Nevertheless, in a sense, it is like unto the idea of, or can be said to be, a form of remote viewing, but it is not so much viewing as it really is simply junctioning, resonance identification, telepathic bonding, in a sense. You follow?
Yes.
Simply matching someone's frequency in the same way that you match the frequency of a program on your TV set, and therefore that's the program you see because that is the channel you have tuned to.
Okay. I get
Does that make sense to you, then?
Yes, it does.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to a gathering, and I grabbed a large clear crystal in my hand and held it above my head and made a very powerful statement, and the day just went swimmingly. And I'm just wondering, I know you're going to say I am using the crystal properly because that's what I decided to do, but
do you have any hints? Telling us.
Do you have any hints for me as to how I might enhance what I'm doing?
Yes. Don't ask.
Okay.
Just tell.
Okay.
What you know to be true.
I want to tell you something else. About a year or so ago, I was playing around, having a good time with some sticks and making what I call dream walker kind of sticks.
Sticks.
And I put a great purple crystal in the top of one just because I thought it was really pretty, and I had fun doing this.
Yes.
Well, then recently I've read that I don't know, Atlantis or Lemurian
Yes,
or
Atlantis. It is a recollection of things that you were doing in Atlantean times, so to speak, yes.
Can I do it again with this object, or do I need a different kind of crystal?
You can utilize it to a similar degree and in a similar fashion. It will never be the same, because the energy of your world is not the same. Oh. But you can, to some degree, utilize it as a trigger or reflective mechanism to put you in touch with vibrations that will, for shall we say, lack of a better term, have the same general effect in your reality based on who you chose to be now. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I believe it's very valuable, and I'll enjoy using that.
Oh,
Thank
right.
you. In an area in, I believe it's Arizona, some time ago, I was driving around, and I decided that this red cinder cone mountain was most intriguing to me because most lava is dark, and this is red. I think it's in the Flagstaff area, as I remember. And I was going up this mountain road, and all of a sudden I just had this terrible fear, kind of like in that other mountain pass, and I decided I had to get out of here really fast.
Oh, all right.
And I'm wondering, my question is, when I experience that sensation, does that indicate to me that there was at some time in my life an experience that has not a pleasant memory, and that's why I'm getting that?
Oh, one?
Oh, well, I know, but I'm saying when I have that feeling, am I accurate in what I think I'm
It is not always indicative of an unpleasant experience, no. It can be, in your terms, a recollection of something that you find or label unpleasant. At the same time, it can simply be that you allow yourself to recognize that the particular frequency of energy that symbolizes may be something that is simply, in some way, shape, or form, out of kilter or out of alignment with your own frequency, or actually the reverse. Sometimes something will give off a certain frequency, and because you are out of alignment with it or with yourself, it will amplify the misalignment within you and allow you to have exactly the same kind of feeling, regardless of whether any memory of any so-called incident is attached to it or not.
So that could be powerful in telling me that I'm not in alignment with
myself. It can be for a number
of
different reasons, and it's up to your discernment to use it as a tool to meditate on it and see what you get with regard to these ideas or any other idea that might crop up in your imagination as to what that feeling might be from. Always assume that there might be more than one way that that feeling can be generated. And you will then, in those circumstances, allow your imagination to guide you in looking at all the possible ways that such a thing might have come about. And that will give you more insight into all the different aspects and facets of your consciousness. You follow?
That's really valuable. I thank you.
Because I will again remind each and every one of you that in all likelihood, you will find, relative to the time period you are occupying now in your history, almost anything will in some way, shape, or form at some time have happened to you. You follow?
I do.
So you can really use these things very multidimensionally in a number of different ways to see many different sides of yourself instead of simply assuming that it only has one causative angle.
Okay.
Follow?
Yes. Then that sort of knocks out my next question.
Why, thank you.
Okay. Well.
Then thank you.
Thank you for a wonderful time.
You. Good day.
Good day, Bashar.
You are number 2. Male, you know who you are. Male. Yes. There.
Hello, Bashar. My question is in regards to remote viewing.
Yes.
Could you describe in detail how remote viewing works?
Did I not just do that a moment ago?
Not to my satisfaction.
Oh,
no.
all right.
Also, can you tell me if remote viewing will eventually or shortly evolve to be used effectively without the use of the written protocols?
Second question first, yes.
Shortly, I feel within the next 2 decades when...
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And also, of course, do understand that there are individuals on your planet now, and have been individuals in your past, that instinctively understand remote viewing and do not need any kind of protocol. They simply go right into it.
Okay, it would also still be termed remote viewing as opposed to the protocols designed by the U.S. military.
Ultimately, the idea will, again, more simply be understood as viewing, as, again, identification, as junctioning. There will be many different ideas that all say the same thing. And again, to go into a little bit more detailed explanation, there is a paradox to this. The paradox is that the reason remote viewing works is because there's no such thing as anything that's actually remote. Everything is one. Everything is here. Everything is now. The idea, holographically, is that if you can, as we had said a moment ago, junction or identify with a particular frequency that is representative of a place, time, person, or what have you, since everything is based on frequency of energy, even location, you can then understand that that location, in essence, not to confuse your language, is actually not over there, but here, just like everything is. And so by identifying with it, you allow yourself to some degree to participate in it here, because it is here. You allow yourself to experience that location within yourself. It is not actually remote viewing. It is viewing from another angle here and now by identifying with it so strongly, by picking up on the correct frequency so accurately that you call forth from the collective now that particular angle, that particular perspective, that particular experience, and can then reproject it as if it were actually over there, but you know it really is not. That's a little bit more of an explanation. Does that make sense to you so far?
Yes, it does.
Does that help illuminate the idea a little bit more clearly for you then?
More so today than yesterday.
Oh, all right. Is
Also,
there any other aspect of this you wish further clarification on?
just could you tell us a few remote viewers from our past? Name a few names that were actually remote viewing as we know it today. Unlike
Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Wovoka, many, many others that you would call ascended masters, even many indigenous people, naturally, can, in your terms, remote view, what you call shamans. Sometimes it is very natural for many children to simply do this instinctively because they have not yet been taught how not to, because they instinctively know everything is here and now and one. Everything in that sense is real to them, therefore it's very natural for them. You will find, if you will take the time, I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you will generically take the time, any of you, to do your research, you will find constantly that your adults are, shall we say, knocking down the idea of what children say they see, of what they experience, that are, in your terms, at a distance. Also, any individual under certain circumstances and conditions, such as that which requires great overwhelming need or desire, will instantaneously, spontaneously remote view, such as cases where you know that a mother instantaneously knows that her child is in danger many miles away. You follow?
Yes.
These kinds of things are simply trigger mechanisms. These states of being are simply trigger mechanisms that allow you, in a sense, to get out of your way in terms of creating the reflective structure of physical reality illusion and allow yourself to collapse that whole thing into the true here and now and simply see and experience only that aspect in totality that is germane to the frequency you happen to be on at that moment. This is the very fundamental underpinnings of all such things as telepathy, remote viewing, psychic functioning, what have you. It's all basically stemming from the same thing, and that is resonance identification. Because space and time are just concepts that are only different by the frequency they exhibit. Location is not really over there. Location is a frequency idea. An object doesn't actually exist in a particular location literally. Location is one of the properties of the object. One of the properties of the equation, the vibrational equation that you translate in physical reality terms as an object over there. But that's just an equational projection in the same way that you have a reflection in a glass mirror. You know, in a sense, the reflection is not really over there, because the reason you see it is because all the light's coming back to you here. It's not really over there. There's nothing in the mirror. The mirror holds on to none of the light, and that's why you see the reflection, which is actually here. Make sense?
Yes, so. Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Does that help you?
Yes.